Yeah, sure. I'll do a quick introduction on myself. Then maybe Quinn, feel free to introduce yourself, and then Nick, your turn after that, and then we'll go out, straight into some questions around landing pages. And I also think we have Josephine Quinn from your team at Replo to help us with some of the maybe fielding questions from folks
Yeah,
around landing pages. So if you're an operator and you're listening on this call, you have your own e-com store, you have specific questions about landing pages, or there's things that you want to double click on in the conversation, I do want to call that out that like, please ask those questions because we want to make room for that as part of the session. But
yeah,
I'll start with a quick introduction and then over to you, Quinn. But from my side, I'm Tim. I'm the CMO of Storetasker. Storetasker is a talent marketplace that's specialized in e-commerce. So essentially, we help brands find amazing freelancers. So we've got talented developers, designers, marketers, also e-com managers, and they're based all over the world. A lot of them are US and Europe based. But if you're in Australia, for example, we've got some folks there. We have folks all over the place. So yeah, that's a bit about me.
awesome. Yeah, and also just one other thing on what Tim was saying about the questions. You basically just click the chat in this platform, and then you can just text in your or message in your question, and we'll categorize them and add those into the discussion too. But hello, everyone. I'm Quinn over at Replo. I lead partnerships here. Spent most of my career working with agencies and brands, early stage startups to large agencies, basically helping them to optimize their marketing stack. And at Replo, our goal is to help you sell more on the internet. So that can be anywhere from optimizing your funnels with landing page building or just funnel building, A/B testing, analytics, industry insights, different things like that. So yeah, we've helped thousands of brands, and the reason we got Nick on here is that he's the expert that also helps to put these things to life, and so hopefully he's going to give us some great insights and thought leadership on some of that too. But yeah, Nick, I'll pass it over to you for a quick intro on yourself as well.
Sweet man. No, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me here. Super excited for today. My name is Nicholas. I run an agency called 253 Media. We specialize in building high converting stores, landing pages, CRO, A/B testing. Basically, the way I think about it is it's on your site and it can help you improve. We handle it. So that's where we come in. I've been doing this since 2017. I had an e-commerce brand before that, transitioned over to the agency life here. I've been doing that ever since, and we love it. We have a ton of fun working with smaller guys who are just getting started, all the way up to Fortune 500, everything in between there. So ton of fun there. Yeah, excited to chat conversions. For me, I'm a marketer at heart. I'm a numbers person, so I think we can really dive into some of the nitty gritty details that I like to spend my time on today. So it'll be a fun one.
Maybe if you're a numbers guy, let's start with one
Yeah.
first question. Like, how many landing pages have you shipped, do you think, since you started 253 Media?
Oh.
That's the first part. And the second part, if you
Yeah.
had to put a number out there, if you had to put a number out there. And then the second part of that is like, how many in 2025? And I kind of want to know, like, is
Yeah.
that number growing exponentially? Are people shipping more and more landing pages, or is that something that's declining as a trend? So yeah, give us an overview of like what you've shipped in the world of landing pages.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if I had to put a number, I'd say, I don't know, thousand, couple thousand, maybe somewhere in there. Obviously, with variants and stuff like that, it's probably hard to put a number on there. But I do think that the more, I don't know, interesting question you asked is that declining? And I would almost lean towards the yes side of things, especially because we can lean into so many different aspects of ecom, right? We have better stores thanks to tools like Replo. We can really put in more custom elements into our store that 5 years ago Shopify 1.0 was a lot trickier to do. And so now a lot more brands, we even do this, including ourselves, push more brand or push more traffic to product pages, collection pages, stuff like that that are built up a little bit beefed up compared to what they were, 5, 10 years ago. And so that's going to be a big shift away from the landing pages. With that said, though, landing pages are still super helpful. For us, we're using them more for specific offers or specific audiences versus like your evergreen stuff. So back in the day, we would use landing pages for products, for more education, stuff like that. Nowadays, it's more for non-evergreen offers, ads, products, stuff like that. That's kind of more where we use landing pages. So I guess total landing page ship. definitely going down. But I'd say there's a big gray area there between your product pages and your landing pages, though.
One follow up that so your decision to send someone to a landing page versus collection page or a PDP is just based off of the offer, or can you kind of dig into that a little bit more? Like, why would a
Totally.
brand make that choice for one ad or one creative they're running versus something else?
Yeah, and there's two things that really drive that. One's going to be your offer. Two is going to be your angle. I guess three, you can even put your audience in there too. So, for example, let's say you're pushing out like a supplement or something like that. It's probably the easiest one to talk about. It's my favorite example. When you're talking about a supplement, though, you could have very different audiences within that same brand. And so on your website, your evergreen pages, you might want to have that a little more generalized to talk to some of those different subset audiences in there. But getting into your landing pages, let's say you're pushing ads or email out to a very specific subset of your audience. Drive them over to your landing page that is tailored to that audience exactly. So you can get a little more specific with your audience, kind of have more of like a closed loop system there. That's going to be driving factor number one. Driving factor number two is going to be your offer. So if you have something that you're wanting to push or even test, testing offers is a really good place for a landing page where it's not going to everybody, not everybody can see it, but you have a little more control over who can see it and who can't see it. So that's going to be number two. And then if you have a specific angle, if you're pushing like a specific reason someone should buy your product, specific value prop, that would be another good reason to use a landing page over like your evergreen product page. Again, great opportunity there for testing different angles too to implement over to your product pages too though. So those are really the three big reasons why we would choose landing pages over product pages. But yeah, those are probably
And
the
how
three big
about
ones.
for collection pages? Because I think like some of the brands that we talk to, the reason that they don't want to use collection pages because they feel like it's more clicks to get to add to cart or more clicks to actually get to the information that they want. So like when does a collection page become valuable in that sense of like actually still maybe it's not always like focused on as much CVR, but like yeah, when is a collection page the right option?
Yeah, it's a great question, and something we talk with a lot of brands about too. We get the same feedback where is more clicks there. Uh, I can think of the best way to think about that is what is your pre-click. So when we think about a customer journey, we're breaking it into two phases: pre-click, post-click. So pre-click is going to be your ads, your organic, your email, stuff like that. Post-click is going to be your landing page, product page, collection page, stuff like that. And so what that's really what's going to dictate it. So what are you pushing in your pre-click? Are you pushing a specific product? Are you pushing a specific type of product? Are you pushing, a specific angle, right? Like we talked about earlier. That's really going to be dictated. So for a collection page, for example, maybe you are announcing your new winter collection, or I guess we're coming into summer now, your new summer collection. Or if you're pushing out like, hey, we just dropped this new T-shirt, you probably go to a product page versus a collection. Hey, we have summer product coming out, shop summer. That would be more of a collection. So that's going to be something that I think is going to dictate that. The other factor in there is again what you're pushing in your ad or email. If you're pushing like a specific product in your ad and the whole ad is tailored around one product, don't make me go find it. I'm not going to go
Right,
search
yeah.
this out. I'm not going to go look for it. Clothing brands are notorious for this. It drives me absolutely nuts because I'm a sucker for a good jacket in the wintertime. Brands will push this all the time, and it's like, hey, get this new jacket that just came out, and then I can't find it, and I'm like, all right, well, I spent 5 minutes looking for it, I can't find it, I'm gonna go click off and buy it another time. So that's something that's gonna dictate that. So that's gonna be something where if they send me straight to the product page, well, now I'm gonna buy it. But if they send me to the collection page, that you believe it or not, I see it even the wrong collection page all the time. That's gonna be a big factor there too.
Got it. Cool.
So
Maybe you could show us an example of a good looking landing page, and we can dissect that together.
yeah,
But
sure.
before we do that, I do want to double click on the offer component. I feel like a landing page is a good place to do price testing or to test like a new product or to test a new way to brand as a specific bundle. How often is that the main use case for a landing page? And also, does it require like duplicating products inside your Shopify store and then manipulating pricing on the back, like in the background? Like, are you having to do a lot of prep on your on like the product listing side of things in order to test these offers? What does that flow look like on your end?
Yeah, good question. You've done it both ways. Kind of just depends on how the brand is structured or what tools you're using. So There's some tools like we use a tool called IntelliGems. We do that for some A/B testing stuff, more on like the price and shipping testing. So that would be an option there. But we also have some brands that are like, hey, we just want to try this out, see how this does also. You can try that with a different product listing in the background. So that is something you can kind of go both ways in there. It's funny actually bringing that up. We had a conversation with the brand yesterday about kind of something similar to this yesterday, and there is no right way to do that, right? It always comes down to what makes the most sense for that brand. If you're like, hey, I've got one product, I just want to go try this out. Sure, you don't need to have all these different tools. Just do what makes the most sense for the brand there. Either way is fine, right? You could do it both ways. Now, I think better option would be to have the right tools in place, get the right information in there, actually track it, to the cent there. But at the same time, like it kind of goes brand to brand there. So I've seen it both ways. I don't think there's necessarily a right answer and only answer.
Yeah.
Ideally, you'd probably use a tool to track that though.
Yeah, because I was thinking about IntelliGems as well, and I think it's a great tool and all, but maybe a tool that you implement on your main website. But when it comes to your landing pages, you can basically hard code a new price on a new product and throw some media spend behind it, and that's like a really good test to run on a specific landing page without and then you're not dealing with like A/B testing, flickers, and all that is just like a hard coded landing page experience where you're testing out a new offer.
Yeah.
But yeah, so okay, but you still use IntelliGems in some cases for a landing page.
Yep. Yeah. So we'll use it for like your A/B testing, like your price, just to get like a better number. We also use Replo a lot for the A/B testing too. So it just kind of depends on what the brand's tech stack is. For us, obviously, as an agency, we're not going to go in and implement all of our favorite tools for every brand as much as we want to. Sometimes we have to play with their tools too. So it just kind of depends on what they're currently using. So if they're using Replo, perfect, we could do that. If they're using IntelliGems, perfect, we could do that. Some brands don't use either; they don't want to, which is crazy to me. But it just kind of depends on what we have at our disposal there.
Cool. Maybe, yeah, Quinn, I don't know if you want to jump in, but otherwise, it'd be cool to just check out a landing page that Nick's been working on and kind
Yeah.
of working that.
Yeah, let's do that. I got a
Sure.
few about more specific to the landing page. So I think if you want to share one, kind of walk us through thought process on setting that up. And maybe as you're doing that too, I'll just put my question there for some point. But um, you as an agency, obviously you have the resources to use templates potentially that you've built out, proven templates that work, and you can rebrand them for the whoever the client is you're working with. But also there's clients that come in and they might say, I want something completely custom. I want this interactive element on my landing page. And so I'm just curious how you balance those conversations, and where you would recommend maybe someone starting just from scratch if one of those options is best, and how you navigate that.
Yeah. We like kind of a few things dictate that. When do you need it? What your offer is, and how much time do you want to put into it? And obviously, time becomes a budget too. So those are going to be your three big things. So for some stuff, if it's like, hey, I just want to have this super simple offer, like a bundle or something like that, great. We could probably template that out. If you don't need anything crazy, if you're just like, hey, I just need a landing page to run this one simple offer, it's nothing weird, great. You can probably template that out. But we've also had some brands come to us and like, hey, we want to have this crazy bundle that has like, multiple different options in there with a subscription, and then you have like this and that. And it's like, okay, well, that's not a template. Like that's a very unique thing. And so when you start thinking of it that way, that's really what's going to dictate that. Other things are going to be, well, when do you need it? If someone says, hey, it's Tuesday, I need to launch this sale on Thursday, you're probably not going to have time to go through, a full custom build there. You're going to use a template.
Mhm.
So those are going to be kind of the two big things that dictate that. Or if a brand's like, hey, I just need something quick and dirty, let's just get it done. I don't want to go through a full discovery. I just need something simple. Perfect. Just use a template. We already know it's going to work. We can already still deliver, excellent quality work there. Is it going to be the most unique thing you've ever seen? Well, not necessarily from a structure standpoint, but when you drop in like your content, copy, and all that kind of stuff, you can still have something very unique
Got it.
and very quickly. So honestly, for me, like if I was a brand owner, I would probably go for something more templated 90% of the time because we know it works. We've already had, let someone else test it. Let someone else put marketing dollars behind it. Let someone else do that. I'll just take it. And if it's not 100% optimized as good as it could possibly be, that's fine. I'll take 90% all day long, right? That's a safe bet. I'd take that for sure for most of the time, unless I want to
Cool.
run a specific offer there. But
Yeah.
yeah, you guys want to look at the landing page?
Yeah, let's do it.
So let's do it. I'm just gonna grab my Replo here. Oops. Here we go. Cool. So this one, I want to show you guys this one. This is the one we did for Black Friday for this brand. This one was super cool. So I want to talk about this one. It's something I share with a lot of people who are looking for a listicle. Real quick, should we talk about like what a listicle is and why we use it? That'd be
Yeah,
helpful.
let's do it. Yeah. Why
Okay,
a
cool.
listicle versus something else? Yeah.
Yeah. So listicles are something that I really like to push for brands that have a unique product. So something that has a unique attribute to it, something that has a unique audience in there, something that needs a little more education. One thing we haven't really talked about is, the purpose of websites, the purpose of landing pages, any of that. And really, the whole goal of like your post-click experience here, the whole goal of that needs to be to give our shoppers the information they need to make an educated buying decision. That's it, right? That's the whole purpose here. And so the keyword there comes down to education. So what can we do to educate our audience? A lot of times people see an ad, they see the first few seconds of it, maybe they see 10 or 20 seconds of it. That's not always enough to get the full picture of what a product is and why someone should buy it. And so we need to go a step further. And so that's why we started looking at listicles. It's a great way to give people more information in a quick and easy way, gets people into our ecosystem, gets them in the know of like why you should buy this product very, very quickly. And so something like this is for a product called the Loop Lasso. Unless you live under a rock, you guys have probably seen this on Instagram or TikTok. But the reason why we want to run this is like, hey, you have a different shopping purpose than anybody else. A listicle can touch on all these different angles very, very quickly for all of our different audiences in here. So something like this, obviously this is one we ran here for the holidays last year. But you can go through here, keeping it very, very simple, very content oriented. What's nice about this one for this product, they have two very different audiences here. So they have kids right here, you'll see her, and then you've got ravers, you'll see her. Two very different audiences. And so we can put into our listicle everything that each one of these audiences is going to need to make their buying decision here. And so as we go through here, we can really go through everything that someone needs to know. So one thing I like to think about with a website or a landing page or anything is imagine someone comes into your brick and mortar store, to your retail store here. First thing you do is greet them. Hey, what can I do for you? How can I help you? What are you looking for? Okay, I'm looking for toys. Okay, great. Come over here. What are you looking for? What questions can I answer for you? A listicle kind of does that, right? It answers those questions before people even have them, reduces friction, gets people excited to buy. You can put content in there. You can put everything that that audience needs to make their decision in here. And so as you're going down here, you can really, really nail exactly what's happening in here. You get your offer in there, right? So this one, obviously, again, for Black Friday here, but then you can get in there. You can put everything you need in here. I want to touch on this section here real quick. Because this is a really powerful section. This page over our standard site converts about 40% higher. So very, very high conversion on here because we're getting our information all the way through the page, getting people excited, touching on those different audiences, touching on quality, who it's for. So you're really checking all your boxes there. And then when you get in here, you're getting people excited, right? Sale ends, obviously, past due here. So you have your timer in there. Urgency. Right, better buy now because it will sell out, and it did. Free shipping, so you got that. Get your offer in there, your biggest sale of the year. So you're getting everything you need after getting someone excited about this product, and that's really what this comes down to, right? It's getting people excited, answering their questions, giving them the information they need to make that buying decision, and then making it easy for them to buy. So then we can go right here, get up to 40% off, takes us to the product, boom, purchase, done.
Takes you
That's
to
the whole goal here.
page?
Yeah.
Takes you to the product page, or takes
So
you...
so for this one, no, we took them to a separate landing page in there. It was basically just like a product buy box kind of thing, separate from the site. But yeah, we can look at that too, though, if you want.
Okay, so you're saying it goes straight to a product page, and then they can make the purchase there.
Yep, that's how this one was. We've done both. We've done it where you can purchase it right from here. We've tried both, and honestly, both can perform well. I think it's something to test for sure. I don't think there is a clear winner there from
Yeah.
what we've seen.
One question we did get, or
Yeah.
a couple times in the chat, is about social proof. Is there social proof on this below the fold, or why not include it? Kind of curious on the thought process there.
Yep, right in here, 250 million views all the way through here. This one actually didn't necessarily, it wasn't that kind of a page. So we're almost going more for like an advertorial style page. So something a little bit more simple, almost less like brand feel, a little more on the advertorial side while still having that listicle side in there.
Okay,
So versus basically being like, a big old walking banner of, hey, buy our stuff. That's kind of what we were trying to get away from for this one.
got it. Cool.
Back to your insights into the world of or your fascination for the world of numbers and all. I'm curious, like what was the collaboration like with the team here on designing the offer? Save up to 40%, get 4 free gifts. Who comes up with that, and how do you do the math to come up with the right offer?
Yeah, it varies from from our brand to brands here. Some brands have a ton of offers and they're really good at coming up with that. These guys, for example, are really good at coming up with offers. We've got other brands that are not, and that's where we come in. So it kind of depends on what that looks like. A lot of our conversations, especially more on the CRO side, are around how are you framing your offer. Brands will come to us and they say, "Hey, I have this website. It's not converting great. Here's my product." There's no reason for someone to buy, right? There is no angle, there's no offer, there is none of that. So a lot of times, it's how can we manipulate the perceived value of something. So example yesterday, buying a higher priced item that doesn't sell as well, but getting the one for free that everyone wants to buy. So we can do that based on our COGS, really what that comes down to with our margin. Not all brands can do that. So that's a good example in there. And so it really just depends on the brand for sure and like what their capabilities are.
Nice. Sorry, I was just reading some of the chat as well because questions keep coming in. Sorry, go for it, Quinn, if you wanted to ask another question as well.
Yeah, one other question, kind of in this vein, but so there's a bunch of brands that are listening in right now, and so some of them probably have worked with an agency, some of them haven't.
Yeah.
Maybe some have in-house teams, and I'm always curious, like as the agency, like what tips do you have for a brand if they want to work with an agency to like make the best use of their time and money? Because for them, they might come into, there's some brands that are going to come into you with no ideas and they're going to say, hey, we need your help, do it. But some also come in with their own ideas. And when do they need to be flexible on what they want to do versus your expertise? Like, how do you kind of, what tips do you have to work best with an agency is maybe the quicker way to put that.
Yeah, that's funny. That's a funny question. I think it kind of comes down to a couple different things. One, um, understand your strengths as a brand owner or as a marketer there. If you're like, hey, I don't know anything about websites, I don't know anything about landing pages, don't tell us how to do our job. And I don't mean that in like a negative way. But we'll have brands come to us and they'll be like, I want this, and I'm like, please don't do that. That's a really bad idea. It's just that's not how it's going to work there. So that is something there. I think the biggest thing though is like, and I think we do a pretty good job with this is like we don't know everything, right? If you have an idea, great. Let's check it out. Let's explore that. But that's going to be, I think, the biggest thing is being open to trying new things. That's going to be number one. Number two, especially when you're trying new stuff, right? If you're taking some risks in here, not everything is going to be a winner every single time. That's a big thing we see, especially on like the A/B testing side. We have brands where like, hey, I need everything to be a winner. I can't lose any money. Well, it's like, well, that's not realistic. You can't do that. Not everyone's perfect every single time. And so that is something. And then the other big thing is we have brands come to us pretty regularly and say, hey, I saw this big brand running this exact offer to this exact landing page. I want this exact thing. Doesn't always work, right? You can't just take what someone else is doing, specifically like a landing page or an offer, and implement that to your brand and have the exact same result, right? Their audience is different, their product is different, everything about that brand is different. And so that is something that we need to be careful with. And so you can take inspiration, but making sure that you're not going to an agency and saying, "Hey, I want this exact same thing this other brand is doing." Rip it off, and then expect the same result because also not necessarily realistic. But I think the biggest things to think about when working with an agency are really just being open to trying new things. Lean on them for their expertise, or just understand like what that relationship is like. Whether it's a reactive approach, and hey, we need the agency to handle tasks, we need them to just do what we say, or on the opposite side of things, if they need an agency that needs to be more proactive, coming to the table with ideas, strategies, stuff like that. Just understanding what that relationship is like, and leaning into what that expectation is.
Awesome. Cool. I don't know if there's anything you want to share on this listicle advertorial, but I'd be curious. The analogy you had of someone walking into a store and needing more education or information about something, but the opposite side of that is someone walks into a store and knows exactly what they want, and they want like the clearest path to purchase. Do you have any examples you can show of that and kind of best practices there?
Yeah, let's go check this out. You guys will like this one. I'm just gonna go preview this one too. Come on.
And if anyone in the audience has any other questions too, feel free to put them in the chat. We'll round them up either as they're relevant to the conversation or at the end as well. We'll get them all rounded up.
So actually, we'll do this. This will probably be a better way to look at this one. Sorry, I was trying to make sure that we can get all the right info in here, and some stuff is not on the site anymore. It is in draft, so we'll show you this way though. All right, so let's jump in here. Go look at this one. So this would be one of our pages that we built for them, more around a specific offer. So clicking over from our listicle, it would take you to a page like this one, either this one or one similar to it. This would be something in here. So now you can get a lot more information. You've got your social proof in here, all of our views in here. You get your offer, you get your featured, you have all of your image carousel with that information in there. And then you get your actual offer in here. So for this one, the way it works, you get your 4 all the way or from 1 to 4, and then you get your different upsell, or you get your different gifts on purchase there. So this would be something, if someone doesn't know what they want, just dropping them right here, right? You can get them straight to that offer. You can get them straight to exactly what they need. This would be a good option for that person too. So if they want to skip ahead, totally cool. It just comes down to what really where in the buying journey someone is. Right, so for like the listicle, the advertorial that we just looked at, that's a brand new person, right? That's someone who's never seen us before. That's someone who doesn't know anything about the product. Versus dropping someone here, this would be a good opportunity for someone who's seen us. They know who we are. Maybe they've interacted with a video before, or something like that.
Are there any like cut and dry strategies? I see this is like obviously a big TikTok product. So like someone sending traffic from TikTok versus Instagram versus Facebook, is this work better for like, do people on TikTok not want to look at an advertorial because they don't want to read like 10 different reasons why, or is there any like cut and dry thing related to that?
Not really. I don't think there is like a, hey, this works 100% of the time from platform to platform. TikTok is typically going to be a little bit of a faster purchase audience versus Meta that might have a little bit of a longer cycle there. I don't think there is anything really cut and dry there. It's something I would try both. I'm not on the ad side for these guys, so I don't exactly see what they're doing. But I do think that try both, and obviously platform to platform, let the platform do its thing. If you have an ad that's crushing on TikTok, it might crush on Meta, but it might not. Don't be like, oh, this crushes on TikTok, I have to run it on Meta too. And just obviously make sure you pay attention to your data there, and don't just go into it saying, hey, this crushes here, so it has to crush here, and I'm going to force it to. Just let the platform do its thing. If it doesn't, then obviously adjust accordingly. But something like this, I mean, I think that audience to audience, platform to platform. I wish there was a straightforward answer there. I wish there was something super cut and dry like that, but I just don't really think there is enough from what I've seen at least.
All right, yeah.
Nick, I've got a question on on building this beautiful page inside Replo. How easy is it to do? Is this a 2-person job? Is it a 3-person job? Is it something that takes a week? Is it something that takes 2 hours? And then also maybe Quinn, you can jump in after, but I'm curious, like, is this self-serve, like easy? I can build this any any idiot can build this like right away, or actually like you're probably going to need a designer to take a look at this, or even an agency. I'd love your take on this one specifically, and then maybe others.
Totally. I think it kind of depends, obviously, on the person's technical ability. Number one, there. Uh, these pages aren't that hard to make, right? It's not too bad here, especially if you've built other stuff over time. So like a lot of these things we've been able to piece together from all these other landing pages that we've built for them. And so once you have some of these elements, you can whip something up very quickly. If you don't have any of that, if you're building the first one from scratch, it might take a little bit more time. You're probably I would give yourself a week in there, but realistically, like a lot of the stuff that's going to go in here, it's content that we've used in other places too. So like stuff like this is already in our product page. Right? We already have that. We've already got a lot of the information down here. This is all sections and information that we have, on our site. Really the big difference here is how we're getting there. And so when we think of it like that, we're not necessarily building a lot of this stuff from scratch every single time. And so really the main thing on here to think about is what is new. And that's what's going to dictate how long it's going to take to build. So for this one, this is the main piece that is new right here. And if I remember correctly, it probably took, I don't know, a couple days to get that working right. Nothing too crazy there. So this one is, I don't think this one was out of the box from Replo. It might be now. But when we built it, I don't think it was. So it just kind of depends on what it is. But I'd say on average, you could, if you know the platform well, if you know Replo well, you could whip a landing page up in a few hours. Like you could do that in a quick afternoon, no problem. If you don't know the platform well, if it's your first time, give yourself some grace there, learn it for sure. Or you choose a template, right? Get in there, but realistically, you should be able to have a landing page up in like a day or two.
Yeah. And Quinn, what's your take on that as well? Like easy to ramp up quickly on Replo to do something like this from like a novice, never used Replo before to something like this?
Yeah, you can. So, I mean, the reason we built Replo is that you can build this, you can build landing pages or funnels without being a designer or developer. If you are, that's great. And you might have, a bit of an easier time initially just kind of building. But like we have pre-built templates that will give you everything from just specific sections if you want to publish a section onto your page, or an entire full page that you just have to then add your imagery and change the copy, and change where your button goes to. So it can be very simple. It just kind of comes down to, again, like what the actual offer is you're putting out there. And then if there are certain complex features or apps that you want to add in. But yeah, primarily it's a very quick process without needing an actual developer.
Awesome. It's super useful.
There
Okay,
was
well, yeah, Quinn,
There was
go
one
for
other
it.
quick question that came in, about landing pages for lead gen versus
Hmm.
driving to a purchase. So like lead gen to a quiz, or yeah, here we go, or to some sort of online consultation. Do you have experience with those? Like maybe walk us through something like that.
Yeah, not on the e-com side necessarily. We'll do it for like coming soon kind of stuff occasionally, very occasionally there. Not something we do a ton of. We do that a lot more for like our non-ecom clients. So we didn't really talk about that. We do a ton of stuff with like tech companies, stuff like that too. So that would be more on that side on the lead gen for sales teams. Not so much for ecom. What you could do it for those if you do have like a limited drop company. So we work with a brand. They do a drop once a month. That's a good example where it's like, hey, join the wait list. For that one, it's super simple. It's basically just like a splash page with an email form on there, nothing crazy. And then it's just, hey, what is this? Make sure you're on the list for our upcoming drop. So something like that. But realistically, you could do something like this where it's like, build a value. What is the person inputting their email for? Why do they need to do that? And then do it that way. There's no reason why you couldn't.
Or like a quiz. I'm thinking of a quiz of,
Yeah.
you're mentioning a clothing brand. So maybe it's like, what is the best shirt for you? And you go through and you say your personality type or your favorite color or like things like that. And then it gives you a collection of filtered products that match that.
Yeah, getting into the quiz side of things, that's a good example. That'll be something you can definitely start getting, emails out of, phone number, stuff like that. But if you want to go that route, it's a little bit different than like your traditional landing page for lead gen.
Yeah.
but still very, very powerful there. And for people who have like a lot of products that are really similar, coffee would be an example. I've got, 15 different coffees here. Well, I don't know which one to get. I'm just trying to get a coffee that I like. That would be a good example for something. Hey, help us, get you the best coffee for what you're looking for.
Got it. Like your taste profile or something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool.
That'd be
All
a good
right. Awesome.
example.
Um, we have a question in here as well. Thoughts on faux reviews, fake reviews for new brands, like fake it till you make it, and not just using real social proof in reviews.
Don't do it. Don't do it. Not for me. I don't think that's legal. I could be wrong on that. I wouldn't do that. Seems like a really quick way to get in trouble very quickly. I wouldn't do that. Not a chance. I mean, I would send some product to people I know before I did that. There's no reason that you can't get, 5, 10 reviews just from people you know.
Yeah, it's
Cool.
funny in the chat. Somebody already answered saying like, "That's illegal. That's a no-no.
Oh
Don't."
yeah,
Yeah. So yeah, same answer there.
yeah, yep, yep. Adam, totally right here. I see that now. Yeah, definitely don't do the fake reviews. It's kind of funny. It's actually amazing me like how many people ask about that too. It's something like, we'll have, brands coming out with like a new product and they're like, hey, why don't we just put some reviews on there? I'm like, please don't do that. That's just not not good, not ethical. And it's crazy because like you can tell, right? You can tell when it's a fake review. I mean, obviously, we see reviews all the time, so I'm sure we have a little bit of a bias there. It's pretty obvious what's a real review and what's a fake review, though. So be careful with that. Just do the right thing.
When you are designing, so another one came through from Adam. When you're designing pages in Replo, do you design mobile first?
A lot of times, yeah. For us, it kind of just depends on what the page is. So it's funny. I think mobile first, that phrase is a little blown out of proportion. It's honestly easier to just design this because things typically are going to be like a cascade down versus a cascade up. At the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. We've got some people that prefer to design this on our team to do mobile first. Some people design desktop first. Biggest thing is just making sure you do have the best mobile experience. But I think mobile first is more of like a coined term that people talk about, more of a buzzword term than actually how people develop.
Nick, I have one last question from my side.
Yeah,
Maybe there's more questions
please.
from the group or from Quinn, but I just want to know about the media buying side of things a little bit more. For brands that we serve a lot of brands via StoreTasker that might have I mean, some have extremely large media budgets, but some have smaller media budgets. Let's say 10 grand a month.
Mhm.
How many landing pages would you test against a budget of 10 grand a month?
Ooh, yeah, it's a fun one. So I don't think there's a actual number I can give you that. And the reason why is I think it's dictated based on what your cost per purchase is. So for example, if you're selling, t-shirt for $40 or $30 or whatever, your cost per purchase is going to be a lot less than if you're sending them to something for like a golf simulator that's 30 grand. So when you start thinking of it like that, it's really going to come down to how much data I can get all the way through my funnel based on my ad spend.
Yeah.
So at a golf simulator, your cost per purchase is going to be a couple $1,000s. So you might only get a couple purchases, if that, out of it. So
Yeah.
you really don't have enough traffic coming through that's qualified. You don't have enough people going all the way through your funnel to get clear data out of there. Versus with a t-shirt, you can get a lot more people all the way through that funnel to really get clear, like crystal clear information of how that landing page is performing. So
Would
that's what
you,
I would say. Just
yeah.
yeah, go ahead.
No, no, would you say like, so let's talk about t-shirts then, like a $30
Yeah,
purchase.
yeah.
Do you have a number in mind in terms of number of conversions before? Because forget the statistical significance bit, right? We're never going to get there. I mean, unless you're spending gazillions of dollars, but like, assuming we don't get there, you're at one point, you're probably making an educated guess and telling your clients like, listen, we've had enough conversions on this landing page for these $30 t-shirts to know that like to have confidence in the conversion rate that comes from that. Now let's test something else. Is that 100 conversions? Is it 10 conversions? Is it 1,000 conversions? Is there like a rough number in your head?
Yeah, I'd say, a couple hundred is kind of where I like to see. I play it safe. I'm just personally speaking, I'm more of a, hey, I'd rather be sure than guess on there. I'd rather let it learn a little longer than not long enough. Some people are a little more risk tolerant on the other side of that. Not
Yeah.
me. And so I like to get as much in there as I possibly can. And I think the bigger factor in there is how big the difference is. So if you have a landing page that's, crushing it, absolutely crushing it compared to something that's not, okay, well, it's a clear winner. But if you have something that's been pretty close, kind of more neck and neck there, that's going to be one where I would let it run a little bit longer. I think that's going to be the bigger dictator of how long to let something run or how many different landing pages to test there is that difference in performance.
Awesome.
Great. Any other questions in the chat? Let's see. No, we got no other ones in there that I can see. I've got no other
Here,
questions either
actually,
online. Yeah.
Adam mentioned something in here is mobile independent. This is huge. This is something that I don't think enough people talk about, and kind of where I was going with is like they're both important there. So making sure you do have the correct experience on mobile. So he said basically here, mobile independent, not just scaled down from desktop. Super important to optimize for mobile. Totally right. And so a lot of times you'll have different sections that mobile experience is actually different than a desktop. How things stack is different. Or maybe the animation on desktop, maybe you don't have an animation on mobile, right? You got to think about your viewports in there. So with mobile, obviously, is vertical. Desktop is going to be more landscape. And so a lot of times we have section that's more specific for mobile that's not even seen on desktop and vice versa. And so that's going to be something that has to be very careful. So making sure you do have the correct experience on both of them. So that's kind of why I don't like that phrase like mobile first, because like they're both important, right? We just got to make sure that both of them have the right experience for the shopper. So yeah, Adam, good
Yeah.
call on that for sure.
Yeah, it's super important. Anything else from the chat?
There are a few extra questions. I think we probably want to
Oh
pick
yeah,
one.
wow. I forgot to scroll, you're right. How do you guys approach optimizing a landing page funnel for D2C brands when there's a single hero product versus a multi-offer stack? What are the key elements you prioritize first?
Single hero product uh, versus multiple products. What do you mean exactly? Like where you said like a bunch of products, like kind of that 80/20 rule.
Kind of like I'm interpreting it more of like oh, I don't know actually now that I reread it. Rimsha, you got
That's
any?
what I read it.
Let's
I was
move
like,
on.
wait a sec.
Yeah, let's move to the next one. Rimsha, if you got any clarification, let us know. Do you have an example of 5% CVR lander with 100 AOV?
Mm, Trying to think off the top of my head. Most of our brands are probably a little bit under 100. I have to get back to you on that one. I'd
Yeah,
say
I think
most
that's
brands are going to be in that like 60 to $80 range. Is pretty normal for us.
I've got another one for you here that I think you'll be
Yeah,
able to answer. It's about A/B testing. It's from Luis,
cool.
and he asks, in A/B tests, how are you actually splitting traffic between a main site and a landing page? Is it just different meta campaigns pointing to different URLs, or are you doing randomizing of allocation of users via the same campaign?
Great question. So this kind of goes back to what we talked about earlier of what is the purpose of a landing page in general. So sometimes yes, we're be splitting them between the two. Sometimes no. That's going to be something that really is dictated based on what the landing page purpose is. So if you're pushing like a specific angle, well, you're probably not going to want to split test that with a product page. Or if you're pushing a specific offer to a specific audience, you probably won't want to split test that with a product page either because your data is not going to be one to one there. It's not going to make sense that your evergreen traffic is getting something different than your specific offer there. So not typically I would go product page versus landing page on like an actual like split test, like that. That would be a little bit different, but it comes down to what the purpose of the landing page is for. So if you're pushing, specific angle, right, that's going to be something that you could probably split test within that, that landing page versus that. But if you do have that same angle or that same offer on your product page, there's probably not necessarily a reason to have it on a landing page too. So it kind of just depends on why you're using a landing page, but there's not a ton of crossover in there from what I'm seeing and how we're using landing pages typically.
And I think maybe one from Andrea, which is something we kind of touched on at the start, but just a refresher. Do you use your website as a landing page? How would you go about explaining that?
Yeah, actually, I have an example for that if you want to do it.
Let's do it. Yeah.
Yeah, let's do this. This one's pretty cool, actually. So this would be a good example. Using your website as a landing page if you have one product. So if you have a hero SKU, something like this would be a good example in here. So for these guys, they've got one product coming on down here, all the way through it. This would be one where you don't need to have more because there's nothing to shop. It's one product, it's one offer, and you can go all the way through here as your landing page, right? And so when you start thinking of it like this, you don't need more. So it always comes back to what do you need, right? That's the whole goal. Don't just make a landing page to make a landing page. If you want to use your website as a landing page because you have one product and one way in, one way out, great. That's how it is. But it comes down to the purpose of why you need a landing page or why you need more of a site. When this brand goes and eventually adds in more products, then it's something that we can expand and have more of like a traditional homepage, collection, product page, etc. But with only the one page, you really don't need more than that. So using it as a landing page there is a great way to do that for sure.
Oh, that's such a good question and such a good example. Is this built on Replo? Out of curiosity.
Not completely. A lot of the sections are though. So like this is, I think this one is, it's about 50-50 throughout the site.
Very cool. Yeah, thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, Replo's a fantastic tool for stuff like this for sure.
Sweet,
Amazing.
I'm good.
Cool.
I don't see any more. So thank you all for joining. Nick, appreciate it. Tim, anything else any of you want to share for the audience before we hop off?
If you need freelance or fractional support, come to me. Come to storetasker.com. I'll introduce you to the best folks in our network. Find me on LinkedIn, Tim Masick. I can paste it in the chat, but find me on LinkedIn. Otherwise, storetasker.com. That's for me on my side. And also just want to say a big thank you to you, Quinn, for helping organize this, and Nick. So many good insights. So thank you so much, man.
Yeah, thanks for putting this together, guys. This is a ton of fun. This was great. I'm really hopeful that a lot of people found some good information out of here, got some good takeaways they can go implement today. So, yeah, Quinn,
Amazing.
Thank you guys so much for bringing this together.
Thanks everyone for joining. Yep. Thank you both.
Sweet.
Talk to y'all later.
All right.
Bye.
See you guys. Bye.